This is Shelley Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the FireRock Conference in New York City 2014. I have with me Rachel Levine of Cleveland BioLabs. It's a publicly traded company, and the symbol is CBLI. Welcome to SNNLive.
Well, thank you for having me, Shelley. I'm excited to be here.
It's good to have you. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about Cleveland.
Excellent. Well, we are a microcap biotech company traded on the NASDAQ, and our lead drug is a pre-commercial stage radiation countermeasure for life-saving in the event of a disaster or nuclear attack. And our intent is to sell this to U.S. and foreign governments. Behind that, we have a broad pipeline of novel oncology therapeutics, all of which are currently in phase 1 trials, and we're expecting some clinical readouts in 2015.
Okay, so let's go back to the first thing you said and explain what that is.
Absolutely. So what we're talking about here is a one-time, one-shot rescue therapy from lethal radiation exposure. Projections by the United States government are that if, God forbid, an event happens, hundreds of thousands of people could be exposed to potentially lethal levels of radiation poisoning. And our drug works with the body's immune system to really induce regeneration and repair of those tissues. And you can give this drug after exposure, which is really when it's needed, because there's going to be a mass casualty situation and there's not going to be much infrastructure.
Who's the developer behind this? Let's talk about this.
Well, the best part about our pipeline is that it's all homegrown. We were a spin out from the Cleveland Clinic in 2003, and all of our drugs are invented by Dr. Andrei Gudkov, who is currently our Chief Scientific Officer and also Senior Vice President of Basic Science at Roswell Park Cancer Institute, where we're running several of our clinical trials.
So who are the other brains? Because this is not a simple task. I mean, and you know, in this day and age with Ebola and all of the threats to humankind that are coming from we all know where, having something like this would be extraordinary.
Absolutely. So we do believe this could play a major part in the nation's preparedness for some sort of terrorist or accident, terrorist attack or accident. So the brains behind the science, in addition to Andre, our CEO is not only a lab-trained PhD, but also an MBA. His background is in business development, and he and Andre co-founded the company in 2003. But we've also brought on amazing clinical development, regulatory, and medical advisory.
You would need it.
Absolutely. We have people, veterans, 20 years in the industry who have been behind successful NDAs and licensing and marketing of a whole range of drugs, not just oncology, cardiovascular, a whole bunch of areas.
Now, Rachel, I'm going to ask you a question. I don't really know the answer to it, but in this day and age when there's a threat, usually the FDA, we're seeing it with Ebola, I keep referring back, but it's a threat to the population. Why wouldn't the FDA give you a fast track with this particular development?
Well, in fact, they have, and we are. And what the FDA is doing to treat Ebola and these types of emergency situations is using a vehicle called Emergency Use Authorization. This is legislation put in place in 2005 and 6 with Project BioShield that enables the government to use unlicensed countermeasures in special circumstances. And in fact, that is the very pathway we are pursuing with this drug. The FDA has given us a green light in a recent meeting to apply for this special pre-EUA authorization, and we're going for it. So we're going to have our application in early 2015, and hopefully they'll complete their review around the end of the year or early 2016, and we'll be literally off to the races.
Well, you kind of answered the question a little bit, but we're coming to the end of 2014. What do you see on the horizon for 2015? And I don't want to push you to the limit, but how soon do you think this particular drug would be available?
Absolutely. So as I said, this process with the FDA can take several months. FDA has a lot on their plate.
Months? You're down to months? I'm thinking years.
Well, it took us 10 years to get to this point, so now we're finally in the home run, the final stretch. So we'll submit our application. The FDA will review. There isn't a specific, what they call PDUFA goal, so I can't tell you exactly the number of months, but given that we'll have the application in fairly early in the year, we would anticipate them completing their review process and hopefully giving us a positive nod towards the end of 2015 or very early 2016.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I was just going to say that while that process is going on, because that's the regulatory process, we're meeting and working with all the relevant U.S. government agencies, Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, and Health and Human Services, because they're the ones responsible for procuring these life-saving countermeasures and putting them in the stockpile. So they work closely with FDA. You need to have your regulatory approvals, but you need to work the buying channels.
Question. That audience out there wants to know your website.
We are located at www.cbiolabs.com. Come give us a visit.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rachel Levine, Cleveland BioLabs. It's a publicly traded company, and the symbol is CBLI. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive. We're at the FireRock Conference in New York City, 2014. Rachel, I want to wish you and the team a lot of luck. I hope we never have to use it, but we got to have it.
Thank you so much for having me, Shelley.
Good to have you.